The reason I wanted to tackle this today was I saw a video today of someone replacing brake pads. Keep the long story short, but G-clamp, pushing the piston back, and they didn't do anything with the fluid. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wonder where all that fluid's going. Okay, but then I checked the comment section, and there's someone commented there like, hey, you didn't take any fluid out of the reservoir before you push that piston back. And that's not how you do it anyway. Just undo the bleeder bottle on, push it back. Way easier than trying to push fluid all the way back through the system. Just goes straight out there into your bottle, nice and clean, nice and easy. Anyway, that's a side note. Maybe we should do a video on that. Anyway, so this guy replies and says, oh, you don't have to because the fluid level, basically the fluid level should be low unless some A-hat has topped it up. Okay, so that, but this is not the first time that I've seen people have this debate online. So that's why I'm like, man, no, we're going to tackle it. We're going to talk about it. So that's why we're here. Should I top up my customer's brake fluid when I do a service? Okay, this is apparently a question. I'm not sure if it's a question. I think it's a question that everyone thinks they know the answer to, but a lot of people are very, very wrong. And we're going to share all the logic behind this today. I'm Dean. I've been a mechanic for over 20 years. I've worked, the small garage I'm in at the moment, I've worked there for 19 and a half years. Before that, I worked in a BMW franchise. Before that, I worked in another small garage. Before that, I was in a Mitsubishi franchise. Before that, I was in another small garage. That goes right back to when I was 16 years old. I've been doing this a long time, and I've never, ever worked in a workshop where it was the expectation that you wouldn't top up brake fluid on a service. Okay? But online, there's a lot of people who think that that is what you should do. And their reasoning behind that is that people will then know that their brake pads are wearing, right? Because as the brake pad wears, the piston and the caliper moves out a bit further, and that so more fluid goes down in behind that piston, basically in the caliper, and that makes the fluid level drop. Okay, so that is the reasoning, that so people will know that their brake pads were wearing. Because how would they know that their brake pads are wearing if you didn't let the fluid drop? Unless they had like a decent mechanic who would check the brake pads and tell them that their brake pads are wearing. Okay, well, here's the thing. Everybody's brake pads are wearing. Okay, my brake pads are wearing, your brake pads are wearing, they're all wearing. All of them, okay? It's only a problem when they're going to run out, okay? That's the only time it's actually a problem. And by then, you should have well warned your customer, your brake pads are getting low. We should probably change them, okay? Like, here's the thing. You let the fluid drop so they know their brake pads are wearing. They don't know. They don't even look at the brake fluid. Most of them don't even know what brake fluid is. They don't open their bonnet. They don't check their oil. They don't check their water. They definitely don't check their brake fluid. Where's the brake fluid? What's that? I just get in the car and turn the key and drive to work, right? Because it's not their job to know about their car. It's your job, right? That's why they bring it to you and pay you money to service their car. You topped up all the other fluids, just not the brake fluid, okay? So we're going to talk about a little scenario here, because here comes the logic, all right? I'm gonna tell you why it's a bad idea not to do it. Okay, this is George. This is Bill. George, Bill. Okay, this is George. George hasn't had his brake fluid topped up, okay? Because the mechanic, George's mechanic, wants him to know that his brake pads are wearing. Okay, this is Bill. Bill's mechanic tops up his brake fluid on every service. He even changes it once in a while. We'll talk about that soon. Okay. George here, right, he is, let's start with Bill, okay, so Bill's brake pads are wearing out, okay, his mechanic actually told him his brake pads were wearing out, because he's got a good mechanic, okay, Bill didn't listen, right, Bill forgot. Bill kept driving. All right. And then one day, Bill runs out of brake pads. Okay, so now he's got metal on metal. And then Bill hears this grinding noise and he goes, "Oh my gosh, what's that noise? That sounds horrible. All right, I'm going to go to the mechanic. Get him to have a look." Okay? And you have a look and you go, "Bill, we told you your brake pads were running out. Now you got metal on metal. Now you need rotors and brake pads." But he drove to the mechanic, and when he got there, he stopped, right? Because even though he's got metal on metal is still friction. It doesn't stop very well, but it does, okay? And it's probably only one pad. He's probably got 3 others in the front that have still got a bit of lining on them. The ones in the back are all right, okay? He can still stop his car, okay? And now he's at the mechanic because it made a horrible noise and he got it fixed, okay? Fluid topped up all the time. George here, the mechanic doesn't top up his brake fluid so he knows his pads are wearing. He's got no idea. George doesn't know anything about cars. He doesn't know where the brake fluid, he doesn't even know that brake fluid exists. Okay? He's not going to look under his bonnet and go, "Oh, look, my brake fluid's getting low. My brake pads must be wearing." You know? Good thing I know that. All right? Okay? George here, he's driving one day. He ran out of brake fluid. George is dead now, along with a unfortunate family that were coming the other way. All right? Because George's mechanic didn't top up his brake fluid, right? And he ran out. He actually ran out of brake fluid before he ran out of pads, because he actually got a leak. Might not have been a leak when it was in for a service, but it is now. Caliper started leaking, leaked the rest of the fluid out. There wasn't that much there to work on, right? So here's the thing. Maybe he didn't get a leak. Maybe it just got lower and lower. Happened to run out of fluid first. Got it full of air. Okay, you get air into a brake system, doesn't work. Okay, air compresses. You push the pedal in, just compresses the air. Doesn't transfer that pressure anywhere else. That's why we have hydraulic brake fluid. So it transfers the pressure because it can't be compressed. Okay, so unfortunately George is dead. Guess who they're coming for? You, buddy. Right? Because you serviced it last. Right? So now you're standing up in court and the judge is saying, "Mate, why didn't you change George's brake fluid?" Why didn't you change it? Why didn't you top it up? You topped up all the other fluids. Why didn't you top up the brake fluid? "Oh, because I wanted him to know that his brake pads were wearing." Well, the car's still got brake pads in it. What it doesn't have is brake fluid. Okay? Now, you're done for manslaughter. You know, you might be off to jail. Several people are dead, right? Just because you thought this was a good idea. So he would know that his brake pads are wearing. I know that's been totally dramatic, but it's totally possible. But do you see the difference? I don't know if you've ever been in a car that's run out of brake fluid. I have, and it's pretty scary because nothing happens. Pedal to the floor, nothing. You're still going, okay? Nothing happens. I was lucky, happened to be in a car park, and there was no one in front of me. And I managed to stop myself with the handbrake, okay? So, yeah, George might be lucky, and he might be in a car with a manual handbrake and have no one in front of him, be able to slow himself down slowly and stop, okay? He might be that lucky. Then he will probably sue you for not topping up his brake fluid, okay? But if he's in a modern car with a electric handbrake, he can't turn that on because the car's going too fast. Won't let it turn on. It won't happen. Okay. That's just the first point. Okay. Second point is Bill here, whichever one was Bill. It's weird looking in a camera. I can't remember which one's. Anyway, Bill hits the good mechanic, right? So what Bill's mechanic does is not only does he top up the fluid, but before he tops it up, he tests it. He moisture tests it with a special meter that he puts in there. He presses the button. It tells him what percentage of moisture is in that fluid. Because brake fluid is hygroscopic. It means it absorbs moisture out of the atmosphere. When it absorbs moisture, what that does is it lowers the boiling point of that fluid. If the boiling point gets too low, and potentially the brakes get too hot and boil that fluid within the system, what happens when you boil something? It gets full of air. Air doesn't work in the brake system, remember? George does. Whichever one's George. Okay? So we can't have that, right? But I mean, it's also just a good indicator that the fluid's getting old, and old fluid, what does it do? It wrecks brake components and causes leaks. Okay, so we want to keep new fluid in there. Most manufacturers recommend changing brake fluid every 2 years. Okay, it's not a kilometers thing, it's just time, because it's how long it's been sitting around absorbing moisture. Okay, so let's say George's mechanic who doesn't top up brake fluid, well, he probably doesn't test it, and he mustn't change it, because if he changed brake fluid, like when you change brake fluid, like if you're somebody who doesn't top it up, when you change brake fluid, do you top it up then? Okay, like to the top, or do you fill it up to where it was? I don't know. But do you see how it defeats the purpose of what you were doing before? Now you top it up. So let's say you're changing it every 2 years. For most people, that's only every second service. Okay, one service a year. Every second service, like, or three years, every third service. Like, what's the point? Just top it up. Okay, where I am, I'm in New Zealand. We have safety inspections. We call them a warrant of fitness. I'm an authorised vehicle inspector for doing those. And one of the things that we will fail is if the brake fluid's too low. And it's not that because the brake pads are worn. We visually check them separately and tell them that the brakes are worn. And that they will fail if they're beyond manufacturer's specifications, which is a whole nother debacle. But anyway, but the reason we fail low fluid is because you don't want it to run out of fluid. It's simple. It's unbelievable that we have to have this conversation, right? So anyway, it's going to seem like a complete rant, but we got to tackle this, man, because I can't believe that people are doing this and thinking that this is the right thing to do. It's beyond insane. Okay, just top up your customer's brake fluid. You do all the other. If you've got a boss who says, "No, this is what we do. We want them to know that they're wearing," so show them this video. Even take this video to them and be like, "Hey, check out this idiot." Email it to them. Send it to them. Be like, "Check out this idiot who thinks you should top up brake fluid on every service." Right? I don't care if you do it that way, but we got to think about it, man. What's your pros and cons? Why not topping up the fluid so people know that the brake pad's wearing? When, as a half-decent mechanic, you could just look at the brake pads and tell them. Right? But at the same time, keep their brake fluid level up. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable that this is even a question. Right. Anyway, if you haven't seen my channel before, I most of what I share is just tips and tricks and common issues and diagnosis, solutions, and how to fix tricky stuff and all of that. Just problems that happen, and I show them to you so that you can see them before they happen to you, and so when it happens, you'll know how to fix it. Right? Here to help you out. So make sure you click that subscribe, click a like on the video, hit me up in the comments section. If you totally disagree with me, totally tell me why. I'll have conversations as long as they're intelligent. Like, if you start calling people AATs, it's like, a waste of time. Okay, but totally in the comments, tell us, do you do it? Are you gonna do it from now on? Like, do you see the logic? Do you see the logic? You got to see the logic, man. I hope you see the logic. Anyway, we'll see you next time.